Russia continues to bombard Ukraine, inflicting heavy losses on its neighbor cities and population. But is Russia actually on the losing side of the war? As Putin gets more and more unstable, Russian losses are piling up in more ways than one. On September 7th, a little over 6 months after the war began, Vladimir Putin spoke at an economic forum in Russia and made a bizarre statement. He claimed that Russia hadn't lost anything in the war in Ukraine, something anyone could see was false. While Russia has a far larger country and army than its neighbor, it has suffered far higher casualties. While Russia really isn't in the business of providing accurate casualty numbers, outside observers and Ukrainian officials estimate they might have lost as many as 40,000 soldiers in total, many of them high-ranking officers. But the losses go far deeper than that. By the end of August, it was estimated that Russia lost more than $16 billion in military equipment, tanks, planes, and ships, all being sent up in flames by the Ukrainian military, backed up by the strength of NATO weapons. Most of these were older weapons, some dating back to the Cold War, but Russia has suffered bigger losses as well. Most famously, the missile cruiser Moskva. The massive ship was one of Russia's crown jewels, worth around $750 million, and it was sent to the bottom of the Black Sea back in April. And those losses just keep piling up. And you know who else is likely losing money each month? Here's a hint. It's not another country, it's you. That's right, you are, and you probably don't even realize it. But don't worry, I was in your position not long ago and changed all that, thanks to the sponsor of today's video, Rocket Money. Rocket Money is an all-in-one finance platform that helps you save more and spend less. It's like your own personal finance manager, where you can find and cancel subscriptions you don't use, lower your bills, track your spending, and even build your savings all in one place. It was that last one where Rocket Money really helped me out. Through their platform, I was able to identify multiple subscriptions I was completely unaware of that were charging me each month. But what I loved most was how easy Rocket Money made it to cancel those subscriptions. I didn't even have to chat with customer service reps or go through long hold times. Rocket Money took care of the cancellation for me, saving me money and time. And they've helped me with so much more than just expenses too. With Rocket Money, you can set budgets that will monitor your spending in certain categories, such as dining out or entertainment, and send you notifications when you've exceeded them. And they help you track your net worth too. Just link your investment accounts to the app and they'll help you monitor the value of your equity, debts, and assets over time, including your collectible items. If you're looking to take control of your finances, what are you waiting for? Try Rocket Money yourself right now by going to rocketmoney.com/infographicshow to start managing your personal finances today. Now back to Russia and their growing losses. Even as Russia takes territory, they keep being pushed back. Cities like Lyman were taken by the Russians early in the war, only to see the Ukrainian forces push them back in late summer and early fall, driving the Russians out, resulting in many soldiers abandoning their posts. Putin declared the conquered regions as part of Russia after referendums condemned globally as shams, but it didn't change the facts on the ground. Lyman's Russian occupation fell to the Ukrainian forces the day after the annexation was announced. That meant that all the equipment, manpower, and blood put into conquering these regions was largely for nothing, and not even Russia's older gains are safe anymore. The Crimean Peninsula, a region of Ukraine that's been under Russian control for a long time and has a significant base of Russian loyalists, was conquered by Russia back in 2014 and had been seen as a foregone conclusion. After all, Russia defends its territory fiercely, and no one wanted to give Putin a reason to escalate. But with Putin refusing to even promise to leave Ukraine independent or its president alive, there was no reason to hold back, and Crimea came under fire by the same liberation forces as the fall began. Is there any hope of liberating this long-time Russian-occupied area? It's likely to be much trickier than any of the other areas due to its population, but the biggest blow to the region came on October 6, 2022, when an explosion took out a large part of the bridge connecting Russia to the city of Kerch in Crimea. This was a key shipping lane and one of the biggest ways Russia kept its forces supplied as they poured into Ukraine. It caused a supply chain crisis, led to a multi-day partial shutdown, and ruined Putin's birthday, happening the day after he turned 70. This incident might have been the cause of Putin's escalation in recent days, although no one's sure who did it or how they did it. Even so, this was another costly blow to the Russian war effort. But one thing may be keeping Russian costs on the battlefield to a minimum. To put it politely, Russia runs a vintage military. To put it less politely, their army consists of poorly paid draftees working with Cold War-era equipment. This explains why Ukraine and its allies are having such an easy time inflicting losses on the Russian military, but it also keeps the costs of losses to a minimum. After all, Russia built up its army heavily during the Cold War to prepare for a conflict against an equal power that never happened, So it has a massive surplus of weapons to call on, and the recent partial mobilization kicked off a massive draft, meaning Putin won't be short on soldiers assuming he can keep them from deserting. And even with these mitigation factors, it's estimated Russia is spending $900 million on the war effort each day. But the battlefield losses, which have likely gone well over $20 billion by October, are only scratching the surface, because the war has left Russia's economy in absolute shambles. This is one of the only wars in recent memory where the entire world felt obligated to declare which side they were on. Most powers not only condemned Russia but imposed devastating and wide-reaching economic sanctions. Other countries like Israel, India, and even China may have tried to stay neutral at first, but are increasingly backing away from Putin as he appears more isolated. Putin's only loyal allies who are supporting his war are fellow pariah states like Syria, North Korea, and neighboring Belarus. And that has taken a massive bite out of Russia's economy. Russia has seen itself largely cut off from global financial system as Western nations try to starve out the leadership. The United States barred Russia from using foreign currency to pay off debts as the ruble craters, while the UK banned major Russian banks from their financial system and even froze the assets of Russian banks and individuals. The biggest blow was probably when Russian banks were yanked off the international financial network SWIFT, which made it incredibly difficult for Russia to continue selling their top export. Because in Russia, oil is king. Russian oil and gas exports are the country's top moneymaker, and the world is turning off the pipeline. The European Union took the dramatic step of cutting off Russian oil imports as of December 2022, and 2 months later, refined oil products will join them. Germany canceled the opening of a major new pipeline, Nord Stream 2, and the entire EU cut off Russian coal. However, the EU has not cut off imports of Russian gas since they rely on it for close to half of their energy needs. This has given Putin an opening, leveraging Russia's gas as the long, cold winter looms. But Russia stands to lose untold billions if its energy exports are cut off, which is why Putin has become more aggressive, even potentially sabotaging a Norwegian pipeline in an incident currently under investigation. And the world is targeting Russia in many other ways. Dual-use goods, those that can be used for both civilian and military purposes like car parts, have been cut off from Russia via export ban from the UK, EU, and US. Those three powers, along with Canada, have also banned the export of luxury goods to Russia. So, no French champagne for Vladimir. Russian gold can no longer be imported, and heavy taxes have been imposed on other imports like vodka. But perhaps the biggest blow to Russia's business sector has been a ban on Russian flights to the US, UK, EU, or Canada, cutting off the ability of many powerhouse oligarchs to do business around the world. And that poses multiple problems. Because it's not just the Russian government that's being targeted, it's the most powerful businessmen from the country. Putin surrounds himself with an elite group of power brokers, usually billionaires from the energy or financial sector. They've been called oligarchs by the media, and they're among the only people in Russia besides Putin who enjoy a high standard of living. And they'd better enjoy it while it lasts, because in Putin's Russia, you're only in the inner circle until you're not. And many former oligarchs have found themselves suddenly under arrest and their assets seized by the states. So it's not a surprise many of them keep a secondary home in a freer country abroad, or at least they did. More than 1,000 powerful individuals from Russia have been personally sanctioned by the West, while proposals to target all Russian citizens with sanctions have been shot down as discriminatory, especially as many are refugees who left the Putin regime while they still could. The ones being targeted are generally allies of Putin. The sanctions range from government officials being banned from entering other countries to billionaires like Roman Abramovich having their assets seized. Abramovich, the former owner of the UK football team Chelsea Football Club, found himself unable to either use his assets or sell them. And one item has become the symbol of these sanctions. One of the ultimate luxury items for billionaires is the super yacht, the closest thing anyone will come to personally owning a cruise ship. These massive symbols of wealth are perfect for when you want to head into international water to do God knows what. But they have to dock somewhere, and multiple Russian billionaires found their yachts being seized by Western governments in recent months. While many businessmen protested that they personally hadn't committed any crimes and their property is being seized without trial, the general response from the government so far has been, so sue us. And there's one final factor that's going to cost Russia a lot of money. Ever since the Soviet Union fell, Russia's tried to recast itself as a haven for industry. Under past President Boris Yeltsin, they largely succeeded, and this gave rise to the oligarch era. But under Putin's more militaristic regime, things have changed. Businessmen had to worry about being arrested or their assets being seized. Foreign citizens have been arrested on trumped-up charges, most famously the WNBA star Brittany Griner, who was playing in a basketball league in Russia shortly before the war when she was arrested on marijuana charges and sent to a labor camp after being convicted. So, it's no surprise that many companies are thinking twice about doing business there. In the aftermath of the war, countless companies have pulled out. Some, like McDonald's, did it out of outrage at Russia's aggression. Others, like Netflix, found the new policies in Russia to be impossible to work with. Netflix was reportedly ordered to place multiple channels of Russian government news propaganda on the service and chose to withdraw from Russia in light of those requests, which means Russian soldiers deployed to Ukraine may be more interested in finding a place where they can watch the next season of Stranger Things. They might as well make themselves comfortable and try to keep their head down, as losses will only keep mounting until the war ends. So, how much has Russia actually lost from the war? We cannot give you an exact dollar amount, as most of the economic losses are internal and likely underreported. The figure is near incalculable because of how many elements got into it. We know they've lost billions in military equipment, and their current mobilization effort is likely to cost billions as well, even with them cutting every corner possible on equipment and training. They've also lost billions in Russian oil exports, and those losses are likely to escalate massively in the winter. Putin's hoping that Europe breaks and stops supporting Ukraine due to a cold winter. But if you're betting on Mother Nature bailing you out, it's not a good sign. And the US alone has seized as much as $30 billion from Russian oligarchs. So the odds are that before the situation in Ukraine is resolved, the war losses from Russia will mount to the trillions and maybe only getting worse, because the sanctions are likely to continue for the duration of the war, and Western powers may tighten the screws on Putin further. If the war ends via defeat for Russia or a negotiated withdrawal, the odds are heavy reparations will be imposed on Russia for the rebuilding of Ukraine, which has suffered billions in losses of its own. So Russia's choice may be to either suffer under sanctions or take a bigger upfront financial hit to get out of the war, which might be why Putin is looking at a third option: keep escalating, threaten the West, and hope everyone gets scared enough to let him have his way. Want to learn more about the direction of the war? Check out Why is Ukraine's counterattack so successful? Or watch What if the US invades Russia day by day for a scary hypothetical.